Morning, ma'am. Sheila, ma'am.
Morning.
Morning.
You just open your.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, Sumita. Sumita, they'll make you the co-host. Huh? They'll make you the co-host immediately.
Okay, sir.
And it's, Dr. Brijesh. Good afternoon, Dr. Brijesh.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah, this is Sumita Anil Kumar. She's
Sumita.
our compare for the day. Please.
Okay,
give all
fine.
the rights, sir.
Okay, Sunny, Sumita has joined.
Yes, Sumita Anil Kumar. Yes.
Sunny, have you done?
I'm doing that, sir.
Okay, okay. Sumita. Sumita has joined with her name. Sumita. Sumita.
Priya.
I think, Sunny, you have done it, huh?
Yes, sir, I have done that.
Sunny,
Yes, sir.
hello.
Yes, sir.
You have done it? So,
Yes, sir, I have
Sumita?
done. Already
Okay, now the Sumita is ready for that. Okay, thank you. So nice of you. Dr. Thakur, Dr. Pradeep has joined.
Yes.
And now we are waiting for Professor Peter Atkins
Yes.
So he would be definitely just coming. Yesterday I spoke to him, and just now I have sent him a message also, because there is a time gap, from UK and all.
Yeah. They're 4 hours behind us. 4 hours behind us now. As
Yeah.
per the winter conditions. Yeah. It's 8
Nas-
o'clock there now in London.
Yeah. Dr. Nasreen Bano, good afternoon, ma'am. Yeah. I was in Sharjah, I came to your office. Yeah. How are you?
Dr. Brijesh will start. The minute Professor Atkins joins, we will start. Okay?
Just only everybody. That's fine. It's maybe a matter of few just minutes. Just I'm waiting for him only. Then otherwise we can start. And
Fine.
we are in time.
Yes.
Sir, I'm the co-host, no? I can play the national anthem.
Yes. Sumitha, you are the co-host. You
Okay.
can do that.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, Professor Irman, welcome. Yeah, thank you for joining. Yeah. How are you? Yeah. Dr. Thakur,
Yes.
what I'm thinking, like, should we start? Because see, I have just sent email to Professor Atkins, and I mean, there should not be any confusion of time, something, because already. And should we start? I mean, because no, Kaustubh will also speak before you for 5-7 minutes, and then
Okay.
your welcome speech will be there. So I hope it will take another total 10 minutes. I mean,
10
before you will be
minutes.
speaking.
No problem. I think we will start. We will start. If Professor doesn't join in, we will tell Dr. Pradeep Srivastav to begin the address. No issues.
Okay. Yeah. It's fine, Dr. Pradeep. Okay. Yeah. Fine. Okay. Yeah. He's.
Sumita,
Okay.
start. Sumita, start.
Okay.
So let us start. Kaustubh, we are starting. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Most welcome.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. We, Sunrise English Private School, is glad to host the session on Next Generation Science Teacher, an international webinar for teachers conducted by Quantum Voltan Events. I take the privilege of comparing this event, and it's our pleasure to welcome you all to this wonderful program. The outbreak of COVID-19 has led all of us to a new platform in teaching and learning. E-learning platforms have been a challenge as we educators have to put in a lot of effort to inculcate the 21st century skills with technology using various online apps such as Socrative, Nearpod, then Kahoot, quizzes, CISOs, and virtual labs that offers students to integrate prior knowledge with the new information and skills and encourages reflection. Today, we have two eminent personalities, Professor Peter Atkins, professor and prolific writer of science textbook from Oxford University. Then we have Dr. Pradeep Kumar Srivastav, as scientist by profession and Deputy Director of Central Drug and Research Institute, Lucknow. It's mark of our undying tradition to invoke the Almighty at the beginning of an important event. Now, let's start the program with a prayer, followed by UAE and international anthem.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful.
والعاديات ضبحا.
By the racers panting,
فالموريات قدحا.
and the producers of sparks when striking,
فالمغيرات صبحا.
and the chargers at dawn,
فأثرن به نقعا.
stirring up thereby clouds of dust,
فوسطن به جمعا.
arriving thereby in the center collectively.
إن الإنسان لربه لكنود.
Indeed, mankind to his Lord is ungrateful,
وإنه على ذلك لشهيد.
and indeed he is to that a witness,
وإنه لحب الخير لشديد.
and indeed he is in love of wealth intense.
أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور.
But does he not know that when the contents of the graves are scattered,
وحصل ما في الصدور.
and that within the breasts is obtained,
إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير.
indeed their Lord with them that day is fully acquainted.
Thank you. Thank you. We all feel blessed indeed. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Thakur Mulchandani, the principal of Sunrise English Private School, to formally welcome the gathering. Please, sir.
A very warm and pleasant good afternoon to all the attendees of this International Science webinar hosted by Sunrise English Private School in coordination with Quantum Wall. Good afternoon to Professor Peter Atkins, Dr. Pradeep Srivastav, Quantum Wall organizers, teachers of different schools of the Gulf region. On behalf of Sunrise Fraternity and Quantum Wall, it's a great honor and privilege for me to welcome Professor Peter Atkins. He's going to join us in a few minutes from now. Yeah. And also we are honored to welcome Dr. Pradeep Kumar Srivastav, a scientist by profession, former Deputy Director, Senior Principal in the CSIR, Central Drug Research Institute, Lucknow, India. Also, I extend a warm and a cordial welcome to all the teachers and the teaching fraternity of schools in the Gulf region. I have some of my fellow principals who have joined in. A warm welcome to them also. This international webinar has been a dream of Sunrise School, and today it's a dream come true, and the dynamic science faculty members of Sunrise English Private School. One of the biggest challenges for teachers today is to keep children engaged. And how to keep children engaged, how to commit them to the lessons, what contents to use, what contents to be worked out. This webinar will definitely throw a light on all these strategies, which are going to be shared by Professor Atkins and Dr. Pradeep Srivastav. So let's get immersed into the thoughts and ideas of these two great and dynamic speakers. They're going to speak on empowering Generation Next science teachers. Once again, on behalf of Sunrise family and Quantum Wall, I extend a very warm and cordial welcome to the esteemed speakers, to the principals and teachers of the Gulf region. Have a blessed and thought-provoking afternoon. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your honest welcome address. Quantum World is an academic organization which aims to inculcate 21st century skills in students from a young age and also simultaneously focus on skill development of educators by engaging them in various exciting international events. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Parej, Professor and Head of the Department of Chemistry at Homi Bhabha Center for Science Education, Mumbai, to speak more about quantum worlds and events and to introduce our speakers. Please, sir.
Yeah, the Kaustubh has to speak. Kaustubh will be speaking. Yeah. Then I will be speaking later after him. I will be introducing both the guests. Okay. Kaustubh will be speaking. Yeah. Please.
Okay, sir. So now I invite Dr. Pradeep Srivastav.
Yeah, thank you. I hope you can see the presentation.
Yes, sir, sure.
Okay, so good morning to Professor Peter Atkins and good afternoon to Dr. Pradeep Srivastav, Dr. Thakur Mulchandani, and the participating enthusiastic teachers and the principals who have joined us today for this webinar. I welcome you for this amazing session on empowering the GenNext science teachers. So I'll take a brief about what we are doing at Quantum Vault and how we are doing it, because I'll just take a few minutes to let you know about the Quantum Vault and the events that we have been doing during the extraordinary learning days that I'd like to call the days that we are having to undergo. And it's a blessing in disguise that somehow we are able to, meet and have these learning opportunities. And before I start, I'll just give brief about myself. I graduated as a chemical engineer from Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai, and worked with adhesive giant for a few years. And then I have been working on science popularization with the Royal Australian Chemical Institute, Australia, for the past 4 years. Okay, so Quantum Vault came into existence during the ongoing pandemic as we were wondering, how we can continue to work in the education sector that we have been doing for years. And the urge to churn out new and amazing learning opportunities spurred us on to establish an organization that caters to the learning needs of the students via teachers. So this is how we started Quantum Vault in the month of June, as we had already been engaged in the activities with RACI Australia. So we started Quantum Vault in June. Next, what we have is we started with an aim to help students develop the new age skills. Our firm focus remains on designing programs that not only develop and enhance the 21st century skills among the young students, but also hone their critical thinking and problem solving ability. We believe that these skills are going to be the backbone of the future generations that we are trying to develop. For building a responsible future generation, what we need is we need to empower the facilitators of knowledge. And by that, I mean we need to empower our teachers. Hence, our first programs were aimed at teachers only. Recently, we added a program for parents as well, because we think that in this teaching learning paradigm, we need to accelerate it. So we need to include parents in our journey as well, so as to able to make a better global citizens of tomorrow. So in June, we started with a program named as Quest for Questions, which was aimed at learning and enhancing the art of designing quality questions, multiple choice questions. The event was a roaring success. As you can see, we had more than 1,500 participants from 12 countries. And by the end of the event, we had more than 1,000 new, that is indigenous questions that our question authors could come up with. The next we had was in June, we had a webinar on sustainability and 21st century skills. And here you can see, frankly speaking, none of us thought that, you would receive such an overwhelming response with more than 5,700 people joining us from 61 countries for that webinar. So it was an amazing experience to have it all together. And the next we had a webinar on parenting in the pandemic and the world of sign tunes. So we had almost 2,000 registrations here from parents of 7 countries, and it was a sit-along webinar where students can attend the webinar with their children. So our interaction with students, teachers, parents, and principals, made us feel that there is a thing that we need to have. There is an imperative need that we wish to have a webinar with parents as well. So that's why we had this. Now, after having all these programs, we have programs for students, and all our programs for students that are live now are in the quiz format, as we firmly believe that quizzing is more of a learning tool than an assessment tool. We want students to learn and gain knowledge from the questions that we ask in our quizzes, because most of the questions in our quizzes are process based, which means that the students need to deduce the answer from the question stem itself. And this helps in honing as I said, critical thinking, observational skills, and the problem solving ability. So the first event that we have for the next month is the Enviro quiz, which is a quiz on sustainability and environment for students of grades 3 to 10. So what we aim to do is we wish to give them recent and the latest information based on which we'll be putting up our questions. And all our events are AI proctored, which means that all the students can appear for our events from the comfort of their home, because in times like these, everybody is at home, and everybody should have equal access to learning opportunities and knowledge opportunities. So this is our first event. The second event is the sci-fi quiz. I'm sure everybody must have heard about or read sci-fi novels, and the likes of Dan Brown and everybody you must have gone through. But what we have is the sci-pi, which is a science and a mathematics, the pi from the mathematics, which aims at honing again the same things, the critical thinking, the problem solving ability of the students. And the best thing is that the pattern of the events is such that we have 30 MCQs. Most of them are process based questions, I suppose 75 to 80%, and that need to be answered in 60 minutes. So multiple choice questions with no negative marking, because we need to promote learning. We need to, aid in learning of students, and our aim is to reach to all students. And we are not here to find the brightest or the best kid among the block. Our aim is that learning should be for all, and it should be equal for all. So this is why we have this pattern for both the quizzes, that is the Enviro quiz and the SciPy quiz. The third one is the short story writing competition, the Wizard, and this one is the best event for me, as I think so, because it is the most amazing, and this gives not only an opportunity to develop the 21st century skills that we aim to develop, it also gives students a chance to get published in the book form, because it has its awards and everything. You might go through our brochures. So this 21st century skills, what we're talking about here, the critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity. So in a story writing, because it's something that is coming up, you have been, as teachers might be using storytelling as a teaching tool, but we need to go a step further and need students to take up topics and write their own stories. This gives them an opportunity to hone their skills, and the format is very simple. What they have to do is they'll be provided a list of topics, and they have to just work upon them. They'll be provided the topic 72 hours prior, and the students in these 72 hours, they can read about that topic, research about that topic, ponder upon their story, create and develop a story, and come up with something exciting in a stipulated time period. Because we all know that once we have to work against the clock, like how quick our brain functions and how it happens. So also it would be an honor for us if Professor Atkins, would go through all these stories and have few comments on them. So it would be good for our students to receive his comments. And just as I sum up, I have a short video for you for all the events that you can go through. So Sunny, can we please have the video?
Seconds are very important for your child. We're in the midst of a global pandemic, and so many parents are worried about the lack of learning opportunities for their children. But well, no more. Quantum Ball presents 3 international AI proctored events solely aimed at sharpening your child's creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. Now, what is an AI proctored event? An AI proctored event uses artificial intelligence as an invigilator. This just means that your child can participate in our international events from the comfort and safety of your home, simply using a smartphone or a laptop. And what's more, you have the flexibility to choose the date and time slot for the event. There are 3 events. There's the Enviro quiz and the SciPy quiz, in which most questions are process-based. That is, the students need to deduce the answer based on the information provided in the question stem. These questions will hold the critical thinking and problem-solving abilities of your child. The third event is the Wizard, which is a short story writing competition. All winners get a chance to be published in the Wizard book. Okay, so how do you register? Just visit quantumvault.org, click on register, and go to the individual registration section. Fill the form, select the events, date and time slot, and make the payment. So many opportunities have been lost in 2020, so please don't let this one slip away. Just hurry up and register on our website.
Okay, so I hope you like the
Hi,
video
the
and
next
like our events. And I hope that all the teachers and the guests today share my message and the video with your students, your children, and your near and dear ones to help them register and participate and in all these events. So the learning and the skill set acquired would go a long way to help them today as well as tomorrow. And it's an amazing opportunity. We'll share with you all the brochures and everything. So if anything, you can just write to us. And as for the events, now we can continue. In case you have missed any of the events that I spoke about, all our events for teachers are available on our YouTube page. So if you can just go and check them out there. And without further ado, let's now move on to our first speaker. And Dr. Pare, over to you now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm very happy to inform that Peter will be joining soon. And I have with us, Dr. Pradeep Srivastav, and he will be just giving you he will take you into a very different world of, like science communication. So once again, good afternoon to all of you. Dr. Thakur Mulchandani, the man architect of this program. All my friends, I can see Mr. Prem Kumar is there, and all other friends, Professor Irman is there. And so I welcome Dr. Pradeep Srivastav. And before that, let me speak out the brief resume of Dr. Pradeep Srivastav. As Dr. Thakur informed you that he is a scientist by profession. He was the principal scientist in CDRI Lucknow, Central Drug Research Institute, Lucknow. And basically, he's an organic chemist. He did his PhD from Kanpur. And then he has been working for the last 36 years in the research and development area of synthetic and natural product chemistry. Now, I would like to tell him the most important thing about Dr. Pradeep. He is the first person in the world to start a novel concept called Scientunes. And he will just let you know what Scientunes are. It's a new class of cartoons which are based on science. So it's a kind of a blending of, the cartooning and the science concept that you will come to know from him. So he's the father of GenNext, a new branch of science communication. Dr. Pradeep has delivered more than 1,000, again I'm telling 1,352 invited lectures so far, right from India, Nepal, Bhutan, Thailand, Singapore, Hong Kong, Turkey, China, Portugal, Germany, Sweden, Spain, France, Ukraine, Australia, South Africa, Brazil, USA, and many Caribbean countries, covering more than 31 different topics. Dr. Pradeep, you can add now another 6 countries into all these the long list, of the where you have spoken about. So, and Dr. Pradeep has really made India the world leader in the area of science tuning. He has delivered many programs on television and radio, and as a visiting professor of many universities and institutes in India and overseas. He has got many awards and laurels to his credit. And the most prestigious award is the Outstanding Young Person of the World. This is the award given by the Junior Chamber International USA to top 10 selected persons in the world. So he's one of them. The other recipients of this particular award is John F. Kennedy, then Richard Nixon, Henry Kissinger, and Jackie Chan. He's also the international brand ambassador of a Singapore-based magazine, a very popular magazine, The Young Scientist, and he's an ambassador, he's a chemistry ambassador of American Chemical Society, USA. And with this brief resume, really, sir, we are very eager to hear you, and we have got a very good gathering of teachers and science teachers. So I hope that definitely we are going to enjoy, and your presentation will definitely be very tantalizing and full of a lot of things are there, the science and the humor. So I invite you, Dr. Pradeep Srivastav. And one good news I'm telling, after him, Mr. Peter will be joining us. Professor Peter Atkins will be joining us. So once again, Dr. Pradeep, you are welcome to deliver your talk. Dr. Pradeep Srivastav.
Very good afternoon to everybody. Thank you so much, Dr. Pare. Dr. Thakur Mulchandani, all the respected principals, teachers. I'm very happy that former Indian ambassador to Lebanon, Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, has also joined us in this webinar. So it's a great honor, and I think we just heard the Kaustubh's Pare whole imagination. And I think credit goes to this young man and also to Dr. Thakur Mulchandani for designing this entire program. So as Dr. Pare was telling, basically I'm a drug research scientist, but I have a unique hobby, and that hobby I'll take you and then you can enjoy with me. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, it is slideshow. It is slideshow, na, sir? Yeah.
Slideshow, yes.
Okay, fine. It is coming out nicely. Thank you.
Yeah. So Scientoons, learn and enjoy science. That's the topic today I'm going to deal with you. In the bottom, you can see the famous Central Drug Research Institute, the biggest drug research institute in Asia. And whenever you take crocin tablet, thank at least CDRA in India, that they are the one who developed crocin in India. So here there are more than 400 students doing PhD in various areas of drug research and pharmaceuticals. So here I worked as a scientist for 34 years. And now all of us are joining today a webinar. What is a webinar? I think before pandemic, none of us were aware about what is a webinar. So webinar is basically, all of you know very well, it's a seminar we conduct on the web or the internet. And here, what is the advantage? I'm sitting in Lucknow. I can see you in Abu Dhabi, UAE, to Kuwait, to Oman, to several countries, you know. And here we can have a chat box, so we can send chat messages, we can answer questions, we can be interactive with each other. And here, what is the advantage? I'm sitting at home and you can see I'm just ready. And I'm asking my wife, darling, I'm totally ready. Before I start giving my webinar, can I get a cup of tea, please? Watch my lower dress. This is the advantage all of us have today, you know, comfortably talking from the home. So today, see, when you attend the lecture of a scientist, what you feel exactly? Most of the time, it is not very interesting. And you feel very boring. And sometimes you sleep comfortably. And the speaker is very happy that there is no noise. Everybody is so attentive. But in fact, what they are doing nowadays, they don't sleep also. They take out their mobile, finish WhatsApp to Facebook to everything. And you are happy they are listening to your talk. So today I'll take you to the world of Scientoons, and I'm very happy India is the world leader in this area. And you can see the beautiful country, Singapore. This is the place from where my journey started of Scientoons. And what happens? This is the place called Nation University of Singapore, one of the topmost universities in the world. And here I had to deliver the first lecture of my life. And it was 26 May 1988. The topic was very boring: development of drugs and pharmaceutical industry in developing countries. I thought people will sleep in my lecture. So what I can do? So I am a scientist. At the same time, I'm a very good artist. So by chance, when I was a scientist, I started making cartoons. And these cartoons actually, many of them were based on science. So I thought, why not to use cartoons in the lecture? Because many of the you go all over the world, you know, people enjoy Tom and Jerry. They watch Mr. Bean, many of the president, prime minister, and a small baby in your house, he watches Shin-chan. So I thought, why not to use cartoons in the lecture? And when I was selecting those cartoons, I find they are having science also, they are cartoons. So I gave them a new name called Scientoons. I remember when I stood up for giving the talk, I was given a warning: finish your talk in 10 minutes. And I had a lecture made for 1 hour. I was terribly nervous, but I started my talk with the Scientoons, and I told the audience, maybe for the first time in the world, I'm going to show you a new concept, which is entertaining as well as very educative. And I'm very happy the lecture was well attended by the people, they well received, and this gave me the first international award of my life. And that's how the journey starts of the Scientoon. So what are Scientoons? Scientoons are basically the cartoons which are based on science. Their job is not only to make you smile and laugh, but they provide information about new researched subjects, data, concepts in a very simple way, so you can understand very well and you can enjoy them. The learning is not boring. Learning is not a tough job. With Scientoons, you can enjoy very well. So in SciToon, there on the left-hand side, you can find the scientific information, which I want to convey to you. Then comes a cartoon, and then comes a what cartoon speaks, that is satire. So you must have heard about the Brownian movement. All the science teacher must be knowing what is Brownian movement. This cartoon was published by Chemistry International from New York, USA, and sent to all over the world. So Brownian movement, suppose you have a glass of water, and in that glass of water, what happens? The particles of water, they are not stationary, but they are continuously moving. They are bombarding each other. And this continuous movement of the suspended particle in a fluid medium, this is called Brownian movement. Very simple thing. So here is a professor driving the scooter like this in a very zigzag manner, and he was caught by the traffic police, and the traffic police is telling, he knows very well about the professor. He says, this is not your lab. And remember, professor, you are a human being and not a particle to follow Brownian movement of the road. So in a very simple way, you can now remember what is Brownian movement. And when concept started, it was a big challenge, and nobody was ready to accept SciToons as a serious way of communication. This was the problem I faced in India. So solution was very simple. If you are accepted in America, Europe, and other countries, then you are accepted in your own country. So I started sending my SciToons to American Chemical Society. They have a journal called Chemical Innovation now. At that time, it was called Chemtech. And now from that, WHO, UNESCO, UNEP, International Society of Biochemistry, then International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, Sweden. So all they accepted the concept. And that's why within 1 year, my SciToons were recognized by the all international bodies, a new way of bringing science to the people. So in 88, remember, I started the concept, Royal Swedish Academy, which gives Nobel Prize in Chemistry. They accepted my research paper on SciToon. That means how SciToons can help to explain the rules of chemistry. And this was to be presented in 32nd International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry World Congress, which was held in Stockholm, Sweden. So this SciToon was published, and this SciToon, you can see very nicely here. It tells about the Hund's rule. What is Hund's rule? You remember, there is atom is there. In atom, in the center, there is a nucleus. Around nucleus, electrons are moving in a circular path, and that is called orbitals. So the nearest orbital is S orbital, in which maximum 2 electrons can be there. In P, maximum 6. In D10 and in F14, electrons can be there. So suppose we think of the P orbital. And if there are 4 electrons, so you cannot keep in first box 2, second box 2, and third box is empty. No, there is a rule there. And what is the rule? That these electrons will be going to each and every orbital in a single way first. That means after single division is there, only then doubling will start. So this is called the Hund's rule. And here you can see the professor has come to attend the conference. And in this conference, there is a notice board, and that says allotment of double rooms in this hotel is based on Hund's rule, that the rooms will not be doubled till they are occupied singly first. So you can imagine professor goes to one room, madam goes to another. When doubling starts, you can imagine what will happen. But I got letters from all over the world, and each one telling me that I think in our lifetime, I can never forget what is Hund's rule. So a very simple way, how you can explain Hund's rule. Now, I made a website, and all of you can log on to my website, SciToon.com, www.SciToon.com. And this website was inaugurated by Professor David Black, who is the former Secretary General of the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, IUPAC, Sweden. And what happened? Initially, I started my lecture on drug and pharmaceutical industry. But then there were more demands, like environment and human health, like AIDS, hepatitis B, nanotechnology, DNA technology, glycobiology, mass spectrometry, parasitic diseases, forestry, biodiversity. So topic started increasing. You can see here one person, when I'm pointing on the mouse, the former president of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. I had the honor of meeting him in Rashtrapati Bhavan in India. And when I made a cartoon in front of Dr. Kalam, within few seconds only, he was very happy and he said, why don't you deliver lecture on nanotechnology? So because of Dr. Kalam, I added one more topic to my lecture list, and that is nanotechnology. And after delivering 600 lectures around the world, starting from school children to scientists to doctor to engineer to army to air force to scientists, the professors, bank managers, even prisoners, I thought, why not to coin this as a new science? So on December 5th, 2006, there was a conference in South Africa in Port Elizabeth, African Science Communication Conference. And there, for the first time, I announced ScienTunix. That is a new branch of science communication where we can effectively communicate, effectively tell a person about complex technical science using ScienTunix in a very simple way. So you can enjoy that. Before I go on to the other things, I wish to share with you, this is the latest book which I have written using ScienTunix on Corona, COVID-19, that is Bye Bye Corona. And it is published by Vigyan Prasad, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. And here, this book was released only last week, you can say, 29th October 2020 by Honorable Governor, Her Excellency, Ms. Anandiben Patel, Governor of UP in India. And I'm very happy today this book is going to be worldwide. And from this book, I want to show you a ScienTunix so you can enjoy further how a ScienTunix look like. No, you must have heard about the social distancing million times, that we must maintain a distance between the other person. Why? Suppose he's affected by COVID-19 and he coughs and sneezes, the virus can come to you. That's why if you are keeping a safer distance, you can save yourself from corona. So social distancing is a non-pharmaceutical infection prevention. And as you know very well, there is no medicine, there is no vaccine. So the best thing is that how we can prevent corona, how we can prevent the infection. And that is by keeping a safe distance. And that is minimum 3 feet, maximum 6 feet. So here you must have heard about the mask, every one of us using mask. And this lady was actually a teacher. She went to buy a mask. The shopkeeper was knowing that she's a science teacher, and he explained to her that, madam, we are using latest electronics and nanotechnology in designing this social distancing mask. This mask you would have never heard, but he said this mask is very unique. It has a built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. It can store all the data, and above all, the unique property this mask has, that seeing your dress of the sari, it will change the color automatically. So suppose you are wearing a red sari, the mask will automatically become red. If you are wearing a green, it will become green. But can you believe this cartoon I made 3 months back? But Xiaomi company now has come up with a mask that has a battery, that is a data storage device. And so a cartoon has come up in the reality. Now, corona pandemic, what we should actually be concerned, it is not yet over. You can see it's still coming back. So I want to say which things which you would have heard millions of times, but enjoy with the ScienTunix. You have to wear a mask and cover your face and mouth and nose very tightly, so that the corona cannot enter through nose to your body or mouth to your body and infect your lungs. Then wash your hands frequently, because when you wash your hand, the virus gets killed by the soap. Keep social distancing. And few things, it's a blessing in disguise. Corona taught us that we should use some of the herbal medicines we've forgotten about. And it also tells us avoid unnecessary travels and also keep ourselves fit by doing yoga and exercise. So this is India. There was a roadside barber, and person on the right hand side, you can see his beard is grown, his hairs are big, and he thought he can go the nearby person, who's a barber and sits on the floor, and he can get the hair cut very quickly without any problem. But see the level of awareness this barber has. Barber says, first fill up this form mentioning Aadhaar card number in India, travel history record, attach latest corona test report, download Arogya Setu if you are in India, and show your status to me, then apply online to me for hair cutting. Whatever the OTP I sent to you, come back with that, only then I can have your hair cut. So that is a level of awareness even a roadside barber has got. This is just to tell you, out of 2 ScienTunix I showed from my book, which is coming. And I'm sure the moment it comes in bulk, I'll be sending to all of you. You can have this. Now coming on to another very exciting area of science. This is 5th June 2020. And 5th June 2020 is the World Environment Day. This World Environment Day was celebrated this year in Colombia, in South America. And here, the lady in the center is Inger Endenser. She is the Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Program. What message she gave us that 2020 is a year for urgency, ambition, and action to address the crisis facing nature. It is also an opportunity to more fully incorporate nature-based solution into global climate action. That means her message was very clear. We have to go close to the nature in keeping us fit to solve various human problems. So I'll take you to a very new area of science. I think you might have never heard a lecture on this topic. The area of the science is called bio-inspired engineering. And the lady in front of you here, you can see on the left-hand side, Janine Mbenes. She's an American. She started this concept, and she said that when the first bacteria was born till date, 3.8 billion years have passed. And in 3.8 billion years of time, nature has done a lot of R&D work. So cannot we learn from the nature and solve the problems which we are facing today? So here, it is also called biomimicry, biomimetics, or bionics. This is another name of the bio-inspired engineering. And here, I want to show you a small ant. This is small ant, do you believe it can carry 50 times than its own weight? And if she can carry 50 times than its own weight, can we do that? Of course not. Even we cannot carry 5 times, 10 times. For example, suppose my weight is 70 kg. Can I carry 700 kg 10 times? Impossible. But can we learn the muscle power of the ant? Can we learn the science from her? How she designs, how this skin is adapted. And if we can do that, we can create superhumans. So here is a small worm, and a small worm is telling the ant about pointing a person on the extreme right-hand side. And he's telling, look, he's not simply watching us. He will learn from us and then make millions. It's a high time we file a patent for everything we do first. Only after that, humans should come up. Now, I want to show you one bird, and because of this bird today, the bullet trains in the world is running. If this bird would have not been there, our idea was not taken from this bird, today there will be no movement of the bullet trains. I want to tell you that the first bullet train, which was designed in Japan, is called Shinkansen bullet train. When the first initial trial was taken of this bullet train, the initial speed was approximately 300 kilometers per hour. And then what was the problem when this bullet train was to cross 22 tunnels in Japan? The moment it crossed the first tunnel, it was such heavy noise, sonic boom was there that all the glass panels of the nearby building, they got collapsed, they were broken. People got shocked, because they could not bear the sound blast, and everybody said, stop bullet train, we don't want bullet train because of the terrible noise pollution it was creating. Now everything came into full stop. What to do? 6 months passed, 1 year passed, there was no solution. Engineers was unable to find out how to design bullet train. In the meantime, there was one engineer of the Japanese railway. One day he was watching bird, and he found that when this kingfisher goes to catch fish 10 times, for example, every time she's able to catch the fish. Why the other birds with this kind of round beak, they miss 50 to 60% time and they are unable to catch the fish. And he got the idea. What was the idea? He changed the shape of the engine of the bullet train like the beak of the kingfisher. What was the miracle here? The noise was gone. 10% speed also got increased because of the aerodynamic body, and 15% reduction in the electricity consumption. So this was a miracle because of the one bird in the nature that was possible. And today, because of this only, the bullet trains are running all over the world. I was recently in China. There were 2 bullet trains coming. They are going, and of course, just like a normal train. So thanks to this small kingfisher bird, this is the highest speed bullet train running today in Japan between Tokyo and Nagoya. Can you believe this name of the train is SC Maglev, superconducting maglev, formerly called the MLU. And today the speed of the bullet train is 603 kilometers per hour. Remember, a flight goes to around 800 kilometers per hour, but this bullet train goes 603 kilometer maximum speed. And you can see the video here. This was the trial done, and in this trial, they could see the speed increasing from 0 to 603 kilometers. And this is the entire team of the Japanese railway. And after that, they had a successful trial. And that's how you can see it is going on. Now, I want to show you one very small story about a tree frog. Tree frog, they are found in the rainforest area like Amazon, like in India, they are in Western Ghats, Kerala, and that side in Northeast region. So these tree frogs, they are very small, and their movement is very unique. But before that, I want to share a story with you. A few months back, my friend's mother died. I asked my friend what happened to her. And then my friend told her the mother was very, very fine. She has no problem, no BP, no diabetes. She actually slipped in the bathroom. And because of that, she got hip bone fracture. She's 90 years of age. So operation and plaster was not possible. As a result, there was a chronic infection and she died. Now, this is the problem. Now, see how a small tree frog helps to solve the problem. I met a Chinese scientist in Nanjing, China, recently when I was in China, and that scientist actually observed this frog very carefully. Watch the video and look, this frog doesn't jump like the normal frog, and watch carefully how he walks. He walks like us, very carefully. Remember, it's a rainforest area. Lot of slime is there. It is very slippery. Water is there. But this fellow never falls down. And what is the idea here? The idea is that the grip power of this frog is very strong. And that scientist, what he did, he studied the grip power of this frog. We can see on the right-hand side, these are the grooves. So the moment it puts the length like this, the water is going out. And then by the gripper points, there are thousands per square centimeter. It made a very strong, it can make a very strong grip. And that is the reason this frog never falls. So what he did, that scientist, he copied this nature's design of tree frog, and he designed shoes, chappals, and sandals. And if you wear that and walk in your bathroom, which is very slippery, you are safe, you'll never fall down. So this is one example how from nature, we learn the solution of a problem, and then we can do something very good. Now, you must have seen lizards in your house. I want to show you another kind of lizard. This is called gecko. Gecko is very similar to lizard, size also same. And this is from India, it is smuggled to China. Can you believe, it's very, very expensive. People can easily give 5 to 10 lakh rupees for one gecko. What is the reason here? This gecko has the strongest grip power in the world. Now, when it is running upside down, remember, if my weight is 70 kg and I'm holding 700 kilogram and I'm running upside down on the rooftop without falling down, that is the grip power she has. So scientists studied and they found in 1 square centimeter, they have 29,000 grip points are there. And these grip points are of size of 200 nanometer. What is 1 nanometer? 1 billionth of a meter, 10 to the power minus 9. So 1 billionth of a meter is 1 nanometer, and these grippers, 200 nanometer size, that is the reason she can make a very strong grip. So what scientists have done up, they have made a gecko tape now. So in future, you don't need to hang your LED on a screw and bolts. You don't need to hang your split AC on the wall with the screw and nuts. Simply put the gecko tape, 50 kg, 100 kg weight, no problem. It will stick to that. It will never fall down. So can you imagine this gecko is telling, come on, Spider-Man, I challenge you. Can you compete with me? Now here you can see these are the gripper points. This is the gecko grip. And you can see the person holding a gecko tape and he's not falling down. The gecko tape is strong enough to hold this man. Second thing, you can see this is the gecko tape made device, and this person is climbing on the building without any electrical power, simply by the grip power of this thing. What is unique here? The angle is very important. At some angle, it makes a grip. You change the angle, it ungrips. So that's how you can see this person in the case of fire or some emergency. If there is no electricity, no problem. With a gecko tape device, you can climb to 100-story building without any problem. Now I want to show you one thing. Lufthansa Airlines, Germany here. You see carefully in the tail, there is a bird here. Why many the airlines, they have the bird? And this is crane. The Lufthansa, the name has been taken, half the name from India. Hans is from India. That is a unique kind of crane we have. And Luft means air in German. So Lufthansa Airlines from Germany. Why I'm telling I want to share you something that these airlines, they consume millions of petrol product and aviation fuel for running flight from India to, for example, USA to Dubai to any place, Now, do you know these birds, they come from Siberia to India, for example, during winter season. And in this process, they travel 6,000 kilometers and then they go back to Siberia. That means total 12,000 kilometers. And in this entire process, not a single drop of petrol is used. Many times they take thousands of kilometers flight without stopping, without eating anything. Now scientists are amazed. Can we learn from these birds? What is unique, I want to show you. This is a European honey buzzard. It's a small bird like an eagle. Can you imagine in 42 days, she covered 10,000 kilometers at an average speed of 230 kilometers per single day. This is the kind of aviation she is doing without using a single drop of petrol. Now here you can see the path. It starts from South Africa and reaches to Finland. See carefully, it is very carefully flying over the land area only. And it was having a tracker device so we could track the entire movement of the bird. Now here is the bird telling, and she's telling, hello Pizza Hut, one pizza with extra cheese delivered in Egypt or in Turkey, please, when I'm passing through that. Now I want to show you another bird, Onan, a cuckoo. It was in Kenya on 29th April 2020 and May 4, it reached to Madhya Pradesh in India, from where Dr. Brajesh Pare belongs to. So it crossed Arabian Sea. Remember, in between Kenya and this India, there is a sea only, so she cannot get down for taking food or taking anything. That means she was flying non-stop without any problems, 5,000 kilometers without stopping, without taking food. Now scientists are thinking, can we design the new aircraft engine based on this aviation fuel? What is aviation fuel she's having? She's eating some fruits, snacks, some worms only, some fruits, you can say some fruits. Because of that only, she can generate so much energy. If we learn from the bird, can we design our future aircraft? And so that there is no need of aviation fuel. We can use that fuel which a bird is using. So here is the Onan bird, and she is telephoning Dr. Pare. Hello, Dr. Brajesh Pare, I am reaching Madhya Pradesh in India soon. Bird sanctuary is full there, so please book a hotel for me when I reach there, because I will be terribly tired. Now here is the route of a bird, and she starts from Mongolia to reach to Kenya. What an amazing journey she performs. And again, I remind you, without a single drop of aviation fuel, she does the entire travel journey, and she's there and she's telling, even if you increase the price of crude oil to $1 million per barrel, I damn care, because I'm not concerned. I don't use your crude oil for taking any flight. Now, can you believe she traveled from Kenya and to Mongolia, and the total distance covered by this cuckoo Onan is 26,000 kilometers. Can you imagine? And not a single drop of aviation fuel. So scientists are working on this bird. Boeing is also designing aircraft where not aviation fuel, but the fuel used by a bird. That means some seed, fruits, and worms can generate tremendous energy. And scientists are learning the navigation system also, that how the bird know which path to follow, where exactly to land, what to do. So here is she, and she's telling in Hindi, there is a song, "Aaj main upar aasman niche," that means I am flying above, and even the sky is below me. Now here is this a very nice aircraft, which is a Dreamliner aircraft. You must have traveled by this. Very beautiful aircraft. What it has learned from the bird, birds' bones are hollow. So the composite body of this aircraft is 20% actually lighter, made up of the nano composite material. And because of that, it is more fuel efficient. And a very unique thing about this aircraft is that it doesn't have the window shutters. So whatever the screen of the window is there, it changes as per the nanotechnology control. You can say you can convert by one switch to blue color, and if you don't want, you can make a normal transparent. So this is the in front of you, maybe, and all of you must have seen, say, seashells. And seashells, they are found in the ocean. All of us, when we go, we collect them. But if you cut a section of the seashell, it is just like a turbine engine of the aircraft or the hydroelectric power generation turbine. So what happens here? Scientists were working in the central small tilt. In the meantime, they saw another kind of seashells. And this picture I took in Barcelona Science Museum in Spain. And here you can see, if we design new aircraft engine, new turbine engine of the hydroelectric generation, can they be very powerful as compared to the previous engines? And the material also used is silica. Shell knows how to convert silica in a lustrous, shining material as compared to the iron. If you throw it in the ocean, it becomes rusty. So scientists are learning from the shell how to design better turbine engines. And here he has got a small baby son, and he says that if they design turbine engines of the aircraft based on our shells, then will they allow us free air travel? At least you can have some agreement, with them. Now, all of us, when we buy a car, and suppose I buy a car in the night, it comes to my house delivered, so my neighbors are unable to see. So morning I come with a small cloth and some polish and go there so that everybody can see I have a new Mercedes car with me. By the time you reach to the car, a small boy, which is very naughty, has written ABCD, on that. So it's ABCD, this scratch is not there. It is on attacking your heart. Your new car is gone, damaged. So what happens now? The Mercedes has learned from the human body. Remember, all of us, when we were young, if there is any injuries there, normal healing takes place. So learning the process entirely of the wound healing from the human body, Mercedes has made the first scratch-proof car in the world. Suppose you make a dent on this car, nothing to worry. The moment it comes in the sunlight, it has nano-floating material paints, and then paint will spread, the entire dent is gone. And this model I saw in Cologne in Germany is already there, launched in the market. So now the Mercedes is telling, hi, come on kids, write on me whatever you want. I would not scold you because I know to take care of the dent. Now, I want to show you this a very small bird called hummingbird. This hummingbird, can you imagine, the heartbeat of hummingbird is 1200 per minute as compared to 72 we have. Now, scientists found this is a very unique bird. And here you can see the video. This bird is the only bird which can fly backward. It can fly backward. You can see the video. Please watch.
Hummingbirds are ravenous. These tiniest of birds have the highest metabolism of any warm-blooded animal. And they're fueled by flower nectar.
They eat flower nectar. That's how they get energy.
No other birds have.
See carefully, it is flying back. So now scientists are trying, can they learn the technique from this? And then they can make all the aircraft to drive backward. Still, all of our aircraft, they are not going backward. Second thing, when there is a turbulence, all of us traveling in the aircraft, there is a sudden announcement. And what is the announcement? That please don't move. Please put on your seat belt. We are passing through turbulence. Don't use the toilets. So what scientists did, they trained this hummingbird. On its wings, every millimeter, they put sensors. And then she is there in a box. And there is a syringe. You can see the nectar is given. So she is taking the nectar. Then what is being done? The air is given to destabilize her. But they discovered it is still stable. So if we can learn how much flipping of the wing it has done, then we can adopt their aircraft to be remain steady during the turbulence time. So that we are learning from this. There is a scientist from India. He is working in Australia. I met him, Sridhar Reddy. He is working on this. And in future, hope we don't have the problem of turbulence. And second thing, especially the war time aircrafts can go back. Now, all of us, have sofa sets in our house, furniture. How many people can come? Maybe you are having seating capacity for 10 to 15 people. What happens if entire 200 people come to your house? The scientists, they have designed a Shangololo coach learning from this millipede. Remember, this millipede has several bodies. It can turn the way it wants. It can extend the body also. So similarly, there is a furniture called Shangololo couch. These sofa sets can be 5-seater and can be 200-seater. And then when there is nobody there in the house, you can squeeze to 5-seater. And when 200 people come, you can expand to 200 seats. And then whole idea is coming only from this millipede. The hinges, how it moves, all the movement of this furniture, they are totally example learning from this millipede. And millipede is saying, oh my God, better to run away from here. I have never seen such a huge caterpillar. Now, water crisis is a terrible problem. No? Water crisis is a terrible problem now. And what happens? We are struggling. Can you believe?
Dr. Pradeep,
Yeah.
I'm just intervening you.
Yeah.
Just 1 minute. Professor Peter Atkins has joined.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, I welcome him. And sir, you have to just.
Good afternoon to him also from my side.
Yeah.
Professor Atkins, welcome to you.
To Professor Peter Atkins. Yeah. Welcome, sir. And sir, once you finish, then Peter will speak on that. Yeah.
Dr. Pare, how much time I have so I can move accordingly?
I think just 5 minutes, sir. Is it okay?
5 minutes?
Yes, sir.
But I think it is going to be only 30 minutes.
Okay. So, you take, just let us finish it, sir. 10 minutes. Please. Because we are all enjoying it. Sir. Please.
So what happens, 200 crore people, that means 2,000 million people, they struggle for getting drinking water every day. The main problem is that there is no water level is going down. In my city, Lucknow, it has gone down by 30 feet in 10 years. So there is a small insect near South Africa where you remember day zero has been declared. In Cape Town city of the South Africa, you are allowed to have only 50 liters of water per day per person. This is the reality today. But close to South Africa, there is a country called Namibia. And this Namibia, there is a small beetle called the Stenokara. How he gets water? Because it's a desert, dry desert. So in the night, he puts his body upside down towards the ocean from where the cold waves come. From the air, it catches the moisture in parts per million. And what happens as a result, by morning, it can have 1 drop ready. And that 1 drop is drank by this small insect. And what happens now, scientists have designed wind turbines. The wind turbines, and these wind turbines, they are not only producing electricity, but they can trap the moisture of the air and can make 1,000 liters of clean water per day, even in the desert, learning from a small insect. Now, this is a honeybee. Well, honeybee is, very unique, and all of you have been bitten by honeybee many times in our life, and that time we feel like crushing the honeybee. But can you imagine, honeybee is a very unique creature. The eyes of honeybee can see in 300 degrees. Our eyes are hardly 180 when we can't see. So what happens? There is a company called this Nissan Micra has made view mirrors learning from the eyes of the honeybee. And because of that, you can see in 300 degrees, you can avoid accidents. There is a honeybee, and she's telling that it is so much pollution, corona in the air, then you have to fly miles and miles to get honey. So I got a deal with the Nissan company. Instead of royalty, I asked them to get me a car. Now I use the same for collecting honey. I have a chauffeur-driven car. So I use that car for collecting the honey. So even from a small honeybee, and remember, if honeybees are not there, humans cannot survive for more than 4 years. I want to share another experience and very important information about a scientist from Australia. What he did, he learned that if there are 200, 300 honeybees, they coming back to honeycomb after collecting the nectar, they never clash with each other. They have a systematic rule to who will be delivering the honey first. And based on that, he has designed the airport traffic management system so the traffic congestion is not there. And that scientist has been given national award recently by the government of Australia. Learning from honeybee, you design the traffic movement of the airport. That's something very commendable. So in the last, I want to tell you that all of you are teachers, and many of the time students they don't perform very well. Share the story of these 6 people in front of you. Albert Einstein, at the 4 years of age, he was unable to speak properly. And then mother went to the teacher. Teacher said, it's a gone case. How he can study here? You go to the deaf and dumb school. But after 4 years, the man starts speaking, become one of the best scientists in the world. Top right, you can see Michael Jordan, the best basketball player in the world. He was thrown out from the team at 10th class when he went for playing basketball team. After that, he took it very nicely, positively, and came back, bounced back to become the best basketball player in the world. Walt Disney, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, everything is Disney World, famous when they have studios around the world, millions of dollars, billions of dollars of business. But this man was denied job for cartooning and animation. Whenever he went to any place, he was rejected, but he never gave up. And one day he becomes the Walt Disney, so famous. Then Steve Jobs, the Apple phone story, you know very well. This man was thrown out of that company once, and later on he becomes the owner of that company. And Apple headquarters is one of the most fantastic green building in the USA. So here, another lady, you can see the black lady, Oprah Winfrey. She went for the anchor job, and what she was denied job because she was black, and it was said you were not impressive, you could not be a good anchor. But today, Oprah Winfrey is one of the best anchor of the world. And the Beatles singers, they were also not given initially any music video, but later on they became very good. So in the last, I want to end this story with a message to all of you that all of us have 99.9% DNA same. That means if we all humans have everything within us to become the best in the world, then what is 0.1% that makes me, Dr. Brajesh Pare, Dr. Mulchandani, and Dr. Peter Atkins, like this, So what is 0.1% is that your hard work, your sincerity, your commitment, and above all, if you have an attitude, never ever give up. Then you are going to be the winner in life. So always have one principle. This is my last slide, and that never ever give up. And once you never ever give up, you're bound to be a winner. Once you are a winner, you are a leader, and the whole world respects you. So don't see if you are failing many times. Remember, even dictionary, if you search for the A word from number 1 to 999, A is not there. But in 1000 A is there, and it becomes superior to 999. So learn from the word A of the alphabets in number from 100 to 1000. And like A, never ever give up, even if you fail 999 times. In the last, there's a story here. When I designed, I announced Scientonics in South Africa. In the evening, I was invited to play African drums in a beach party. And I thought, how can I can play, because I had never seen these drums in my life, what to think of playing. Then I thought, I have 99.9% DNA, what these drummers have. So I joined them, I played the drums, and after that, in the next day, they announced the Beach Party Awards. Out of 10, I got the Best Beach Party Award. And what I got the award is in front of you, the real African drum, which I got. And it is back to me in India, in my house, which I play quite often. This is a story to tell you, never ever give up, So I'm very thankful to Dr. Mulchandani, Dr. Brajesh Pare, Kaustup Pare, and I think all the respected principals, teachers. It's only a trailer because in 40 minutes, you cannot go. And thank you for joining. This was my 1355th invited lecture. So with these words, my best wishes to each one of you. And it's a great honor, great privilege to be talking to you, sharing my little knowledge. And I think take home message that enjoy science. It's not a burden, it's something to enjoy, and make science to change your life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Pradeep Srivastava. It was very mesmerizing talk. And can we have one question from Dr. Nasreen Banu?
Please.
Dr. Nasreen Banu was asking few things in chat, so let us have one question from her.
Please.
Dr. Nasreen Banu is there?
She can unmute the mic and then.
Yeah. Anybody else if wants a question to ask to Dr. Pradeep Srivastava, the person for Scientonics. I mean, he's a founder in globally, that and wonderful scientific communicator. that he is communicating the scientific concepts utilizing cartoons. So that is a wonderful thing and something very unique. And I'm really I was just looking at it. Everybody was enjoying it like anything. So any question, please? I have seen some of the questions, like in chat box. So I can read one question.
Yeah,
Sir, can we have a video of this lecture? So, okay, that is not the thing. We can have it.
Sir, please unmute yourself. You are being muted by mistake.
Speaker, Professor Peter Atkins has joined. Dr. Thakur, are you around? So thank you very much, Dr. Pradeep Srivastava. It was really mesmerizing. And before Peter Atkins, Professor Peter Atkins start, just let me read out his, Professor Peter, your brief resume for the enthusiastic science teachers from more than 6 countries of Gulf, and they are more than into 200 in number. Dr. Thakur, Professor Peter has joined. So
good afternoon, Professor.
I'm just welcoming him. And as you are one of the organizer, please, you can just welcome him formally. Otherwise, then I will read out his brief resume.
You may read out his profile. Warm welcome to Professor Peter Atkins. We are really privileged and honored by your presence. It's so nice to have you. I'm your big fan, and it's a proud moment for Sunrise School and Quantum Wall to have you on our panel. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I'm just reading out. I'm reading out because for me also, when I was a student in my undergraduate, I was reading his books, and for me also, it is just like a dream coming true today. So Professor Peter Atkins, a living legend, a professor and a prolific writer for the science textbooks. He is from Lincoln College, a fellow of Lincoln College, and he has been serving all through Oxford University, UK. Peter Atkins left school at 15, worked as a laboratory assistant for 2 years, and then managed to go through the University of Leicester. After graduating in 1961, he did his PhD there on electron spin resonance spectroscopy and went to the University of California, Los Angeles as a postdoctoral fellow before returning to Oxford in 1965 as a university lecturer in physical chemistry and fellow of Lincoln College. Professor Peter remained there later as a professor of physical chemistry until he retired in 2007. His research was in various aspects of theoretical chemistry, but gradually book writing took over his energies and most of his career has been writing. His books now number over 70. You go to any part of the globe, you go to the library and you will find Professor Peter Atkins' book. They include university textbooks, most notably physical chemistry, now almost in 11th edition, but also books on science for general public, including molecules, Galileo's finger, and most recently, Conjuring the Universe. A person, Professor Peter, full of creativity and with exceptional ability to teach science with a prolific writing skill. He has really contributed enormously in the world of science education. Today onwards, all the participants, very humbly, I would say, these are the words from my heart, from my mind, that you will be able to say, yes, that you have seen Professor Atkins speaking and you enjoyed his talk. Sir, Professor Peter, I wish you many years to come and few more creation in the form of the books for the generations to come. With these wishes, I invite you to speak your mind and heart with the fellow science teachers of more than 6 countries. Professor Peter Atkins, welcome, sir.
Well, thank you very much indeed. It's really is a great pleasure to talk to you this afternoon, and I'm very envious of you all, really, because you have the wonderful challenge of teaching people to love understanding, and I hope that what I talk about today will inspire you even more to go out and teach your students to love the acquisition of knowledge. I was enchanted by the previous speaker and learned a great deal from him. And I hope that what I have to say today you will also find interesting. I will share my screen with you in just a moment, which there. Can you see that? I hope so. I'm going to talk about a book that I wrote some years ago, where I tried to identify the 10 great ideas of science.
Sir, it is not shared, sir. Sorry, it is. We are waiting for it to share. It is not seen. Yeah, it's coming up, sir, slowly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir, it is now okay. Thank you.
Is that the correct screen, or let me go. Yeah. Is that all right?
Yes, sir, it is fine. Yes, sir.
Good. Okay. As I was saying, I wrote a book called Galileo's Finger some years ago, and where I tried to identify what I regard as the 10 great ideas of science, ideas that everyone in the world should know in order to see the wonderful way that science adds understanding to our lives. And why did I choose the title Galileo's Finger? Well, if you go into the Museum of the History of Science in Florence, in Italy, and go upstairs to the top floor, what you find there is a pot. And inside the pot is this image. It is actually the finger of Galileo himself. Because all those years ago, when Galileo's body was being moved from where it had lain into where it currently lies in the Church of Santa Croce in Florence, there was an enterprising surgeon watching the coffin going past, and he took the opportunity to snip off one of Galileo's fingers, and that is one piece of Galileo. And I think it's rather a wonderful image. Actually, I like to think of the possibility of assembling a superhuman by taking Einstein's brain from Princeton, where it is, maybe Chopin's heart from Warsaw, where it lies, and adding it to Galileo's finger and gradually building up this superhuman. But I use it as a symbol because Galileo really represents the moment when science changed from looking at the authority of the Greeks who sat around thinking about what the world should be like, to modern science, which is where we go out and discover what it is actually like. And so Galileo's finger really points into the direction of modern science, where we are humbly in the presence of nature and try to understand what is going on. In my choice of great ideas, I had to decide what the criteria were for an idea being great. And I think that a great idea must be exceedingly simple. So it must be within the grasp of everyone. But it can't just be simple, because it might be stupid as well. It's got to be simple, but account for great complexity. Because what scientists do is to go out into the world and look for its inner simplicity, and then try to understand how that inner simplicity leads to the outer complexity that surrounds us. And the way that an idea reaches, commands complexity, goes out and explains a lot of things, is to be expressed in a abstract way. So the more abstract an idea, then the greater its reach. So we're looking for ideas that are in some sense abstract, because that gives them power. An example of that, I suppose, is when you think of the change that came about in the early 19th century, when the abstract idea of energy replaced the concrete idea of force. And energy, this abstract idea, proved to be so important that textbooks and science were transformed by the concept, because you can apply the concept of energy much more widely than you can apply the concept of force. So you look at a steam engine and you understand force, and then you think of it in terms of energy, and you realize that the concept of steam engine and energy can be applied to anything, to the human body and so on. So what we're looking for is simplicity, reach, and abstraction. Now, there are two kinds of ideas. Francis Bacon, in the 17th century, classified ideas as lucifera, that is the bringing of light, light-bearing, illumination, and fructifera, being useful for providing opportunities for development, technology, and so on. Really, I'm going to focus today on the luctiferous ones, the ones that bring illumination. And in order to keep your attention, I want to ask you to play a game as I make this presentation. One game is, have I missed a great idea? On reflection, I think I have, but I'll leave it to you to decide whether there is a great idea that really ought to be included among the 10. I don't think I could call it the 11 great ideas. I think we have to think of dropping one and adding another. Another part of the game I want you to play is there a greatest idea of all? Can you identify the single great idea that you think should be, should summarize science? And thirdly, the final part of the game that I'd like you to play is, should there be a monument to science? And what form should it take? So I leave you with those three ideas. Now, I only have 40 minutes, and at some point I must get down to actually talking about the great ideas. But so I won't be able to spend time on every one of the 10, but I'll cover which ones I think are important. So let's go to the first idea. And I think one of the greatest ideas of science is really the fact that evolution proceeds by natural selection. It fulfills the criteria wonderfully that I have mentioned. It's a very simple idea. I mean, Thomas Huxley, when he heard of it, really kicked himself and said, "Oh my goodness, why didn't I think of that? it's such a simple idea, but it's not just simple. I mean, it accounts for the whole of the biosphere. It has wonderful reach and is one of the most powerful ideas that has ever been suggested in science, not just suggested, but demonstrated, and its validity really confirmed. That doesn't mean to say that it's complete. There are still open questions in evolution. One of them, of course, is the origin of sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is an extremely complex process, and it's very puzzling about how it could come about. But it did come about, and people are still trying to find out how it happened. And another related idea, of course, to evolution is how the original transition from the inorganic to the organic took place. How did life emerge? Scientists are not short of ideas, but there is no clear-cut view yet about how that wonderful step from the inorganic to the organic took place. Once you have the organic, then through natural selection, you have the biosphere. So it's very easy to go from elements, well, it's difficult to go from elements to organisms, but very easy to go from organisms to elephants. So I think Darwin's idea of evolution proceeding by natural selection must be one of the greatest ideas of science. And you really there is nothing in biology that does not depend upon evolution. Related to that, related to evolution by natural selection, is my second great idea that genetic information is encoded in DNA. I mean, the discovery of the molecular structure of DNA was a transformation of biology. Before 1953, biology, and here I'm going to exaggerate a little, biology was simply a nature walk. You walked through the world saying, that is a cow, that is an elephant, that is a palm tree. But after 1953, with the discovery of the molecular basis of life, understanding of the biochemistry of life and the understanding of the workings of life came into existence. And of course, this is an idea, a concept of science that is very fructiferous, very fruit-bearing as well, because it is transforming medicine, it is transforming forensics, it is transforming our understanding of humanity. And I think it has turned biology, it has made biology a part of the physical sciences, because now we understand how life takes place, and we can attach numbers to it, and we can do experiments at a molecular level. And it is a transformation. And of course, it also helps us confirm the nature of evolution, because whereas evolution emerged from studying the biosphere, what we can now do is also study evolution at a molecular level. And so these two great streams of understanding of evolution coincide. They are not in conflict. They augment each other. Indeed, that is an aspect of the whole of science. And I think one of the features of science that you should convey to your students is that it's not just a random collection of isolated concepts. It's a network of connected ideas. It's not a collection of countries. It is a continent of ideas, that ideas from one part of science feed into other parts of science. So even the very small fundamental part, the study of fundamental particles, feeds in to the study of the very large, the emergence of the universe. And certainly the ideas of physics and chemistry feed into biology through our understanding of the structure of DNA and the role that it plays in inheritance. Let's go to that other abstract idea that I mentioned earlier, which is energy. And one of the great laws of science, is that energy is conserved. I mean, energy is like a policeman that governs change. It forbids change. And there are great questions that arise. And I think when you're teaching science, you should never evade the great questions that arise. I think one of the great questions that arise is, well, how much energy is there in the universe? We know that the amount of energy is constant, but where should we draw that line? And indeed, if it's constant, why should we worry about it? And of course, one of the great questions is, why is energy conserved? What is the origin of this fantastic law of nature, which says that once you have got a certain amount of energy, there is nothing that you can do to change the total? And there are ways of understanding that. And in the book that was mentioned, Conjuring the Universe, I look at at the origins of the laws of nature. And the origin of this wonderful law of the conservation of energy can be traced to a very deep structure of the universe. There is a theorem from mathematics which says that whenever you have a law that says something is conserved, such as the conservation of energy, then there is always a symmetry principle behind it. And in this case, the symmetry is that of time. So you can show that if time is uniform, such as it goes tick, 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 uniformly on a cosmic scale, then energy is conserved. If energy went tick, 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 like it does in some lectures, I suppose, then energy would not be conserved. Now, so really you have to ask, why is time uniform? But I do not have time to go into that today. Perhaps another opportunity will arise to talk to you about that. But that other big question, how much energy is there in the universe? Is that a real question? Where should I draw this line? Should I draw it there? Should I draw it there? Should I draw it there? How do you measure the amount of energy in the universe? Science is all about measurement, because measurements guide theories and enable us to judge ideas. So let's measure the energy of the universe. Here is a part of the universe. We can measure the energy by taking this galaxy, measuring its mass, and then using E equals mc squared to convert that mass into the energy that this galaxy represents. And of course, we will get a huge energy. I will take this galaxy, measure its mass, multiply by c squared, add it to the first one, and get an even bigger energy. Take this galaxy, every galaxy, determine the entire mass, multiply by c squared, and get through E equals mc squared, get the total energy of the universe. And it is this colossal value, huge value. But scientists are circumspect people, and they say, well, have we looked at every contribution to the energy of the universe? And they realize that they haven't. What about the attraction, the gravitational attraction between this galaxy and that galaxy. So galaxies interact gravitationally. And whenever you have a gravitational attraction, you have a lowering of energy. So I will take this lowering of energy. I will take that lowering of energy. I'll take this lowering of energy, this lowering of energy. And I think that what happens when you take all that energy into account, that initial huge energy is reduced down to zero. So how much energy is there in the universe? I don't think there's any energy. And I think where you draw that line is right down there. So the question about where all the energy came from no longer arises. Science also simplifies the questions about what happened when the universe came into being. And I think sharing these grand ideas with your students opens their eyes to a deep understanding of the nature of the world. Let me go on from the quantity of energy to the quality of energy. I mean, the other great related idea is that entropy tends to increase. That is, one tends to go from order to disorder. More specifically, you never see this process happening. This is the natural process. In short, the second law of thermodynamics says that things get worse. You go from this to this. But you go from order to disorder in a very constructive way. Because here, suppose we have this, which represents a region of order in the universe, perhaps localized energy or localized matter. Then the natural direction of change is to disorder. But suppose you have a mechanism which can link into this process of increasing disorder. Then it may be that this increase in disorder can drive the emergence of order. So this might be the fuel in an internal combustion engine. This might be its combustion, where the energy is released into the surroundings and the hydrocarbon molecules are broken up into water molecules and carbon dioxide molecules, which disperse. This is the actual engine. And this may be an engine which is being used to construct some building. So out of disorder emerges order. And of course, you can trace this order right back to the sun and the nuclear fusion processes going on in the sun, the energy being dispersed through the solar system and being captured maybe by photosynthesis on Earth. And photosynthesis, so you have this connection between dispersal on the sun and the capture of that energy on Earth being used to drive the emergence of the biosphere. And then that biosphere might become breakfast. This might be digestion. This might be the process of metabolism in the body. These might be amino acids which are being used to build proteins, which are being used to build the organs of the brain. And indeed, you now begin to see how the consumption of food in general leads to the emergence of our organs and of ourselves. And indeed, you can now trace the processes going on in the sun to the processes going on in growth. And even more fancifully, you can think of there being random motions of electrons and neurotransmitters in the brain, which are organized when we eat. and the metabolism helps us to organize these random processes. And so we can really also begin to see the emergence of aesthetic appreciation, of artistic creation. And I think science enables you to trace that wonderful process of going from the sun to artistic and intellectual activity. Okay, let me go on to my idea number 5. And my Richard Feynman mused about what he regarded as the greatest idea of science, that he said that if there were a nuclear holocaust and the only entities surviving were cockroaches, what message would you leave so that when the cockroaches finally evolved into scientists, really gave them a first step on understanding the nature of the fabric of reality? And he said, in his view, the idea that he would carve into a stone would be that matter is composed of atoms. And indeed, when we are talking about chemistry, we constantly have to move between the outside world of matter and the inside the world, the underworld of atoms. And teaching chemistry is all about building a bridge between the underworld of atoms and the observed world of matter. And I think one of the difficulties of the general public understanding chemistry is that they are not willing to take that step from matter into atoms. It's very difficult for them to do that. And it's up to you, the teachers of chemistry, to enable people to go easily from thinking in terms of atoms to seeing how they emerge into the visible world of materials and the changes that matter undergoes. Here's a very abstract idea. I think that my great idea number 6 is that symmetry is at the root of the fabric of nature and the fabric of reality. Much of modern physics, modern fundamental physics, is all about identifying the fundamental particles and unifying the forces between particles. And symmetry plays a role in both endeavors. Let me give a flavor of why symmetry plays a role in unifying the fundamental forces. Suppose I took you to this scene and I showed you a square and a hexagon. And I asked you to think about how you could rotate this square and turn it into this hexagon. You obviously can't. There's no rotation, no transformation of this square that turns it into this hexagon. But suppose I were to suggest that you stood back into another dimension, into the third dimension, and looked at a cube. Then if you looked in this direction at the cube, what you would see, of course, is a square. And if you looked down this diagonal from this point down to this point, that is, you look down that direction, what you would see, of course, is a hexagon. So if you're willing to go into a different number of dimensions, then it is now very easy to see how to rotate a square into a hexagon and a hexagon into a square. You just rotate the cube. And that's what happens in fundamental physics. If this is electricity and the hexagon represents magnetism, or any of the other fundamental forces like the weak force and the strong force, then you can see that if you have a sufficiently complex object here, and you stand in a sufficient number of dimensions, then you can see that electricity and magnetism are just different ways of looking at a single force that we call electromagnetism. And a more elaborate object here would include the weak force and the strong force, and just rotating that object in different numbers of dimensions shows that all these forces are in fact united. And so what physics is currently looking for is the object to rotate that takes us from electricity to magnetism to this weak force, the strong force, and maybe gravitation. So that is why I think symmetry is absolutely crucial to our way of thinking about science. I have to go a little bit faster. I see that I'm really running out of time. I think one of the great ideas of science is, of course, that energy is quantized, and that quantum theory seems to be one of the most precise theories that we have ever identified. We know that it's incomplete because it has not been unified with the next great idea, which will be gravitation. But in my view, the quantization of energy is a great simplification of our understanding of the world. The uncertainty principle is often represented as a confusing way of limiting our understanding of the world. I think the uncertainty principle is a great simplification. It says, think in terms of waves, or think in terms of particles. Don't try to think about both together. It's like starting a sentence in German and ending in English. Don't do that. Speak a sentence in German. Speak a sentence in English. Talk about the world in terms of waves. Talk about the world in terms of particles. And it's only when you start mixing the two that you get all the confusions that quantum theory is often held up to represent. I can say more about that, but I'm afraid this is where I have to go faster. That other great idea, of course, is related to gravitation. But I think a part of the idea, the notion that the universe is expanding, is extraordinary, because it implies that there was a point in time when there was nothing. There was some big bang, and then there was a universe which expanded and perhaps gave rise to a daughter universe. And that daughter universe has given rise to a granddaughter universe, and so on. So we have seen, really, we now know that we can talk about the origin of the universe either from a parent or from absolutely nothing in rational terms. And I'll return to this problem in short, but it opens our ideas to that one of those great questions of being. How did the universe emerge? And I think the fact that the universe is known to emerge, to expand, points the way to answering these great questions. And of course, related to that is the fact that that gravitation can be understood in terms of the curvature of space-time by massive particles. I think it's rather extraordinary to know, really, that all particles travel in straight lines, wherever they are. Even the Earth is traveling in a straight line. But, of course, that straight line is distorted into a curved path by the presence of the sun. So that simple motion of always traveling in straight lines, but straight lines have a different meaning. they turn into these curved lines. And so we can understand the underlying simplicity of motion. But it appears to us as though planets move in orbits around their stars and so on, and galaxies move around. I think this great idea about the nature of space and time and the unification of space with time that Einstein's relativity represents is an extraordinary intellectual achievement and opens our ideas once again into the fabric of reality. And my final great idea is perhaps an unexpected one. It is that arithmetic is incomplete. I'm always struck by the fact that mathematics is such a powerful language for the discussion of physical phenomena. And there must be a deep relationship between the nature of mathematics and the nature of physical reality. And I've explored this in other places, but one of the points that makes is that there's a wonderful theorem which I will show to you, which I will come back to. There's this Levenheim-Schurlen theorem, which is on the screen now, which says that if you've got a set of rules, then it is isomorphous. It has the same structure as arithmetic. So all axiomatic systems really behave in the same way as arithmetic. So it means that if science can be expressed as a set of rules, fundamental rules, then the same rules that apply to arithmetic apply to science in general. Indeed, if literature follows a set of rules, or music follows a set of rules, then music and literature follow the same rules as the rules of arithmetic. And so if you can say something about arithmetic, you are also saying something about music. So this is a wonderful way of showing how rational thought can be extended to aspects of human existence that you might not think of as being within the domain of science. I have to come to a conclusion now, as I'm afraid my time seems to be up. But let me ask one question, which is, what is the future of understanding? What are you preparing your students to do? And I think there are two great outstanding problems. Of course, there's a lot of little problems, but the two big, huge, magnificent problems that science is preparing itself to answer is, one, is the origin of everything. Where did it all come from? What happened when the universe came into existence? How did it come into existence? And the other great idea is, what is the origin of consciousness? What is the nature of consciousness? I'm reminded of the sculpture of the Pietà by Michelangelo, which stands in the St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, in the Vatican. Michelangelo showed that he was a master craftsman by learning how to carve these wonderful things, but then moved on to very abstract, very deep structures, which you can also see in Florence. And when you are teaching your students how to do simple experiments like titrations, or simple processes like studying refraction, you're preparing them like Michelangelo. You're preparing them to go on, I think, to answer these great, outstanding problems. And I asked also, remember, what should a monument to science be? What kind of monument should we erect to science? I'm going to suggest the following monument. There it is. It's a fractal image. I think it captures the essence of what I have been trying to say in this talk. First of all, is a fractal image emerges because it arises from a very simple process. You square a number and you see whether it reaches infinity. If it reaches infinity quickly, you color that point, that value, with a particular color, and so on. And so you build these extraordinary images in a very, very simple way. And that is the essence, I think, of science. Secondly, these images are endless. If I were to enlarge any area of a fractal image, you will get an image that resembles it. And you could do that for infinity. And that resembles science, because the applications of science are endless. Science is an endless pursuit in terms of applications. And I think that captures the essence of science as well. And finally, the other essence that it captures is the beauty of science. In some ways, I think this image is very beautiful. And I know in my heart that science is extraordinarily beautiful. So I hope that in your teaching, you will convey to your students the beauty, the simplicity, and the reach of this extraordinary human endeavor, and allow them to take joy from it. That, I hope, is all I want to do with you today. And I will stop sharing my screen at this point.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Peter Atkins. It was really mesmerizing. And the 10 ideas really you raised in the initial, when you started it, you wanted to know from teachers that if they want to add any one idea to all these 10, and which one is the most striking to them. So please, any teacher who wants to respond to Sir, to Professor Peter, that which is the most exciting, out of 10 you like. Anyone, we take one question, please. Who wants to say? Yeah. Sunny,
Sir,
please unmute. Please unmute all. Yeah.
I will be unmuted.
Unmute, no problem. They will ask one or two questions to Professor Peter. So, please.
Now they can unmute themselves. Sir, please unmute yourself also. You are being muted.
Professor Peter, please unmute yourself and ask a question. One or two questions, please.
Sir, can I ask you?
Yeah, please.
I'm Johnson. Actually, I'm a teacher from Umal Queen. It's a great pleasure to say that I'm one of the greatest talk which I have seen in my life. So, I would like to ask the question regarding the origin of consciousness. So, can you just elaborate little about the origin of consciousness? And it is very difficult to want that one, which is the best idea from 1 to 10. And little more elaborate about the origin of consciousness.
Yes. If we go back to those two great questions, the origin of the universe and the nature of consciousness, I think they will have two different kinds of answer. I think the origin of the universe will have a mathematical explanation, and we will write down equations that lead to the universe. But when it comes to consciousness, I think what we will find is an understanding that comes through the simulation of consciousness. And we're already beginning to see that in the way that we are starting to build computers that are beginning to show the signs of being conscious. So I think we will understand consciousness once we have built a machine that would be murder to turn off. And we're starting to do that as computing power increases. Perhaps we will need quantum computers in order to achieve it, rather than just digital computers. And perhaps the kind of consciousness that we generate will be quite different from our own consciousness, because our own consciousness also depends upon our evolutionary history and the biochemistry going on inside our bodies, our hormones and so on. And so the artificial intelligence might be quite different from human intelligence, but at least it will give us deep understanding of our own consciousness. I think philosophers will say it will never be possible to understand consciousness from within our own consciousness. But I think philosophers are pessimists and we scientists are optimists. And I think the more we study, the more we understand.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So that was a wonderful explanation. And so I think, should we go ahead, or one more question? And particularly, the best after 10th ideas, no? So if suppose I respond to it, sir, for me, like going from the inorganic to the organic side, that idea, in the case of urea, we teach to our students, like taking, the inorganic compounds and making urea, from inorganic. That inorganic usually considered as lifeless, probably a wrong concept. And from there, we are going to the life, So what is that point, where this transformation is taking place?
Yeah. Well, you have to define what life is, of course. And I think life, there's so many people who have tried to define life. And one definition is that it's something that can approximately replicate itself. And the important word there is approximately, because you need just replication doesn't allow for evolution. But if you have error in the replication, then error can either be disease or progress. And evolution, natural selection, builds on progress. So what you need to do is to understand how inorganic matter acquired the ability to approximately replicate itself. And in order to understand that, you have to understand, the real problem with understanding it is knowing what the conditions were on early Earth, knowing what, how hot it was, what the components of the Earth were, and so on. And there's no shortage of ideas. Yes, there's just a shortage of certainty at the moment.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So I think we are now, I should sum up the things, and I take this opportunity to extend our sincere gratitude to both the legend speakers of today, Professor Peter Atkins and Professor Pradeep Srivastava. And sir, I request you to please keep guiding us and keep inspiring us for teaching and learning of science. Thank you, all the science facilitators, those who joined today event. And I'm sure, now you will be able to say that now you have seen Professor Peter Atkins and you have seen him speaking and just letting you know what are important things in science teaching. And sir, really this why energy conservation takes place and the change of inorganic to organic. And the most important takeaway, from my side, being a teacher, is that, the challenge before a science teacher is to bridge the gap between the underworld and the outside observed world. That is what Professor Peter has said. Really, that is a big challenge for the science teachers to bridge that gap. Symmetry is the fabric of nature. That is a wonderful comment, sir. Quantization is really simplification to know about the world. So once again, thank you very much, sir, Professor Peter Atkins. And as far as Professor Pradeep Srivastava, really very mesmerizing sign tuning. And what Professor Peter Atkins has remarked for you, Dr. Pradeep Srivastava, that he really enjoyed your talk when he joined. You were speaking, and he commented, probably you might have taken note of it, and that is a great blessing. And I will, because Dr. Pradeep is a good friend of mine. So Professor Peter's comment that he really enjoyed your sign tunes is probably one of the greatest blessing and comments for you. Hopefully you will always love to remember these blessings and words of Professor Atkins. So now I invite Samita for the vote of thanks for our guest. Yeah.
Teachers, first of all, thanks for your attention. Hope this session was really informative in scaffolding our ideas and to implement our Am I audible to you, sir?
Yeah. Sunny,
Ma'am, now you can unmute yourself.
She is giving a vote of thanks. Yeah. Please go ahead.
Okay. So teachers, thank you for your attention. Hope this session was really informative in scaffolding our ideas and to implement in our future plans and thereby preparing our students to be more productive and talented. So once a great man whispered, feeling thankfulness and not expressing it, it's like wrapping a present and not giving it. So today I take the opportunity to put all my gratitude into words. On behalf of the Science Department of Sunrise English Private School and the entire Quantum World and Events, I would like to thank our chief guest, Mr. Peter Atkins, for taking his precious time out and consenting out to be the chief guest. Sir, indeed, your words have inspired the teachers. We are so happy to see you, sir. And more than that, we like the 10 great ideas of science. A big thanks to Dr. Pradeep Srivastava for his efforts towards the GenNext Science Teachers webinar. Thank you, sir, for sharing with us your words of wisdom. Especially, sir, we will see the next time to have that Shongololo couch, okay, when we have any open session next time, okay? Okay, sir, so it was very nice about fine tunes and bio-inspired engineering. It was very nice, interesting, and informative. Then we have been fortunate to be assisted by our principal, Dr. Thakur Mulchandani. He was a constant support and gave us a lot of encouragement. I also like to thank our principal. Last but not the least, I would like to express my sincere thanks to each and everyone present here. We appreciate your interest to attend this webinar and making this a successful program. Thanking you all once again and looking forward for such wonderful events to happen. Thank you, teachers.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Peter.
Thank you. It's been a great pleasure. I wish you well, all of you.
Yes, sir. So keep guiding us, sir. Keep in touch. Dr. Pradeep, thank you very much. And so nice of you, Professor Peter Atkins. We shall remain in touch with you and please keep guiding us. Thank you.
We must thank Sumita for nicely conducting the entire program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Irman. Thank you. So we take leave. So nice of you. Once again.
Bye.
Okay, Dr. Pradeep. Yeah.